Boom. Share. Boom. 17. The Transfiguration. Okay. And 6 days later, Jesus brought with him Peter and James and John, his brother, and led them up on a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his garments became white as light. And behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to them, talking with him. And Peter answered and said to Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will make 3 booths here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he was still speaking, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. And behold, a voice out of the cloud said, This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. And when the disciples heard this, they fell on their faces and were terrified. And Jesus came to them and touched them and said, Get up and do not be afraid. And lifting up their eyes, they saw no one except Jesus himself alone. And as they were coming down from the mountain, Jesus commanded them, saying, Tell the vision to no one until the Son of Man has risen from the dead. And his disciples asked him, saying, Why then do the scribes say that Elijah must come first? And he answered and said, Elijah is coming and will restore all things. But I say to you that Elijah already came, and they did not recognize him, but did to him whatever they wished. So also the Son of Man is going to suffer at their hands. Then the disciples understood that he had spoken to them about John the Baptist. When they came to the crowd, a man came up to Jesus, falling on his knees before him, saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he has seizures and suffers terribly, for he often falls into the fire and often into the water. And I brought him to your disciples, and they could not cure him. And Jesus answered and said, O you unbelieving and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring him here to me. And Jesus rebuked him, and the demon came out of him, and the boy was cured at once. Then the disciples came to Jesus privately and said, Why could we not cast it out? And he said to them, Because of your little faith, for truly I say to you, that if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, Move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. But this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. And while they were gathering together in Galilee, Jesus said to them, The Son of Man is going to be delivered into the hands of men, and they will kill him, and he will be raised on the third day. And they were deeply grieved. Now, when they came to Capernaum, those who collected the 2 drachma tax came to Peter and said, Does your teacher not pay the 2 drachma tax? He said, Yes. And when he came into the house, Jesus spoke to him first, saying, What do you think, Simon? From whom do the kings of the earth collect tolls or taxes? From their sons or from strangers? And when Peter said, From strangers, Jesus said to him, Then the sons are exempt. However, so that we do not offend them, go to the sea, throw in a hook, and take the first fish that comes up. When you open its mouth, you will find a stater. Take that and give it to them for me and you. Oh, look, something about being exempt from taxes if you're not a stranger in the land. Oh my goodness, taxes are illegal. Okay, questions?
I do.
Yes.
Um, if I think it's the second paragraph where they're talking about how Elijah already came.
Yes.
Like what do they mean by
So,
that?
so the prophecy is that someone was going to come. Elijah would come, and he was going to prepare the way for Jesus. But it wasn't literally Elijah that was supposed to come. It was supposed to be a type of Elijah. So someone basically being the in the same position as Elijah. There's something in the Bible known as typology, where you see things that are like foreshadowed and indications of other people or other things that occur very often. So John the Baptist was the type of Elijah that was to come and prepare the way for the Messiah, for Jesus. And so, since it wasn't literally Elijah coming back from the dead, people were confused and they rejected John the Baptist and ended up beheading him. So that's what he was referencing here. So he's saying that Elijah had already come and they did not recognize him. Then the disciples understood that he had spoken to them about John the Baptist.
I just think it's funny that verse 9, he's literally prophesying his death again, and
Yeah,
they're still surprised. Like, oh, what,
exactly.
how is
He,
it,
li-
how's this happening? And it's
he
like, oh,
literally
I
says,
told
like,
you,
do not tell people
told your
about this
tears,
until
told
I
your
rise from the dead.
yeah. Like so many
But
times that he said that.
I think it's kind of funny how
Denial.
God cuts off Peter. How Peter's like, oh yeah, let's make three booths here, and then this is my time. Like,
yes. So this whole section right here is a really important thing for arguing with a couple different types of false religions. One would be modalists or Unitarians, where they believe that God is not three persons, but they believe that God is one person who changes modes. In this kind of situation, it makes no sense for the Father to be talking to the Son if they're not individual persons. And so that's just a very good thing to point to whenever they say like that Jesus is the Father, something like that, that the Son is the Father. Then you can go, no, 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 we see that very clearly right here, that this is my beloved Son with whom I'm well pleased. They hear the Father talking to them while they're looking at Jesus. The other thing that's really interesting about this entire section is you will see in the Old Testament, and the name of the mountain is slipping my brain, so one of you hop in here. I think it's Sinai or Horeb. But whenever they go up onto this mountain, they are going up onto a very specific mountain, which is the mountain that both Moses and Elijah went to at very different points in time to talk to God face to face. So what is happening here is not Moses and Elijah coming back from the dead as ghosts or as specters or something like that. Instead, what is happening here is it's showing Jesus altering time in that way, where Jesus is transfigured and it's showing like this shadow of when he was talking to them in that exact spot.
Time travel.
Kind of time travel. Yeah. Because when the Son incarnated, that is theorized to be when all the Christophanies happened. And so that, like, whenever you see Jesus in the Old Testament in a bodily form, though he was manifesting, he was not incarnate. He did not take on flesh yet, but he was still bodily appearing to people in the Old Testament. And so one of the theories is that this is how that worked, that whenever Jesus was on earth, that he would kind of time travel type of thing. It's really cool. Just showing God's dominance over even time is awesome.
I
So,
do believe it's Mount Sinai, by the way.
yes, I think that is correct. But this is one thing that a lot of Catholics will say. They'll try to use this as a defense of praying to the dead, saying like, oh, well, was Jesus sinning when he was talking to Moses and Elijah? It's like, no, this is, if they try to bring that up, it shows that they have no idea what's happening here, that they don't understand any of the concepts that are going on here. But this is what was happening with that. Moses and Elijah were dead. They were seeing a shadow of what had happened, not seeing dead people alive again.
Well, I mean, it even specifically says it's a vision.
Yes, exactly. But they don't want to read. So
They don't like context.
exactly. Other questions?
Yeah, so to the question on Elijah's coming and restore all things, my head went to Revelations. So, like before Messiah appears, Jesus, do they also mean in Revelations as well that Elijah will come first?
Potentially.
Lord?
That this is why So
Yeah.
in Revelation, it talks about the two witnesses. And
Okay.
there's a lot of different interpretations of that, a lot of different guesses. That's one of the things that's so hyper symbolic that we don't know for sure. But
Okay.
one of the primary theories for that in a premillennial worldview is that Moses and Elijah are going to be the two witnesses because they were, even though they are dead, they will be resurrected early to come back and declare this witness of Jesus. But we see them witnessing Jesus, which again is going to be before the time that Jesus even came, that they witnessed him. So there's that theory. The other theory is that the two witnesses are going to be in regards to the two types of people, so Jew and Gentile both, that will be proclaiming the good news of the kingdom. And that's more of like there are premillennials who have that viewpoint, but then there's others that are like postmillennial and amillennial that will share that interpretation for what the two witnesses are. But yeah, very, very interesting with that, where he says that, let's see here. Elijah is coming and will restore all things. So that is a good supportive thing for them to be the two witnesses. The other thought is that Enoch could be the other witness instead of Moses,
Okay.
because in the Old Testament you see Enoch and Elijah. It does not show them experiencing death. It says that God took them.
Took them, yeah.
So God took Enoch so that he wouldn't die, and also says that Elijah was caught up in a whirlwind.
So take them out of where they need to be and then put them where he wants them to be later,
Exactly.
potentially.
Out of time. So that way they're not actually dead. So not technically resurrected, but yeah, just transposed across time,
Okay.
which is awesome.
Wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
Weird.
So that is one of the main theories for that and what he's
It probably would
referencing
be
here.
instant for them, though.
Exactly. And then they'd just be like in robes showing up, speaking only Hebrew, ancient Hebrew,
So
not modern Hebrew.
And then they would experience death, but then they would be resurrected again and hey, we're back.
Because I mean that makes perfect sense, since I mean now I'm on team Enoch and Elijah for the two witnesses, since they did not die.
Yeah, and Jesus specifically said that nobody has been to heaven, right?
Exactly. So they didn't go to heaven when they died. That's what people assume because they are caught up or taken. But yeah, in John 3, Jesus said that no one has ever gone to heaven except for he who has descended from heaven, referencing himself, meaning
But
that
doesn't
no
it
one.
also say that everyone is supposed to experience death too?
Yes. Yeah. So Hebrews 9:27 says that it is appointed for every man to die once, and after this, the judgment. So
So
everyone is
if
supposed to die, but they might literally, like you were saying, instant teleport to the future, which would be spooky.
that'd be very spooky.
Be very spooky. Be
Thoughts.
awesome.
Makes you think.
Which is awesome. These are the fun rabbit holes. Because with that, like with all the eschatology and everything, it is just impossible to actually know for sure what it is, just because it is apocalyptic language. It is so hyper symbolic that some things could be partially literal, fully literal, or just completely symbolic. And so it's
And we don't know until the time has come.
Right.
exactly. So very, very fun. But
Are
that would
we
be awesome.
I've
are
heard
we supposed sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I've heard like some people say I hold to the view you just said more because that makes the most sense. But I've heard some people say that they think it's gonna be John and Cain because something about like that they were like I don't know that God said they weren't gonna die or something like that. I know
So
it
that
doesn't actually say that.
Yeah,
I think
so
that's
that
more of like a
that theory
Mormon.
would be very easily debunked.
Yeah,
So Cain died,
yeah.
100%. Cain died. The wages of sin is death. But the marking of Cain wasn't to preserve his life and make him immortal. It was so that no one would murder him. But then you see in Genesis, when the flood happens, it says very specifically in verse Genesis 7:23 that everything that breathed through its nose died.
Mm.
except for Noah and his family on the ark. We have that once again reiterated in the letter of in the epistle of Peter. I think it's First Peter 3, where he says that he's referencing like baptism being like the antitype of the flood, and he's saying that through that the only people that survived were the 8 people in Noah's family. So
Yeah.
it does very expressly say that they died. Then in John, whenever Jesus says that, he never says you're not going to die. And John even adds in the caveat there where it says that Jesus wasn't saying that he would die, but so started the rumors. So let's actually pull that up real quick.
It was more about him not getting killed instead of him not dying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see here. And that is in John
Because John had
21.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if Cain was still alive, like he would stick out like a sore thumb or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He'd have like the nape, like maybe.
Unless he just knew how to adapt.
Exactly. Like in the it's not based on actual Satan, obviously, but Lucifer, that uh TV show, like Netflix show,
Yeah.
they did have that where Cain was still alive and that he was like just cursed where he couldn't die, but he's like trying to die all the time. So
There's like a lot of like misconceptions, but all people have to do is like read the scriptures for themselves, you know.
exactly.
A lot of misconceptions if people.
There's a
Supernatural
lot.
has something too with Cain's mark.
Yeah, where they had it be like that Cain was the first demon in Supernatural.
And you can pass the mark on to different people.
Yeah, yeah, very, very dumb. But let's see here. Um, um, okay, where am I finding it? Okay, now this he says like, defying about what kind of a death he would glorify God, talking about Peter. And when he had spoken this, he said to him, "Follow me." Peter, turning around, saw the disciple whom Jesus loved following them, the one who had also leaned back on his bosom at the supper and said, "Lord, who is the one who betrays you?" So Peter, seeing him, said to Jesus, "What about this man?" Jesus said to him, "If I want him to remain until I come, what is that to you? You follow me." Therefore, this saying went out among the brothers that this disciple would not die. Yet Jesus did not say to him that he would not die, but only, "If I want him to remain until I come, what is that to you?" This is the disciple who is bearing witness to these things and wrote these things so that we know that his witness is true. So quite literally, all the people who try to take this and say like, "Oh, John is still alive today," read one more verse.
Yeah.
It was Jesus practically saying, "Mind your business. I do what I want."
Exactly. He's just like say, "I'm not telling you how it's going to happen. Don't worry about it." That's it. He's not, because like in this, he's hinting that Peter's going to be crucified. That's horrible. But that's exactly how he died. And then with this, he's just like, "Well, how is he going to die? Is it going to suck?" Like
That's
he
pretty
beat
funny. Like,
me racing to your tomb. How is he going to die?
they must have had beef because he's like, well, what about him?
Exactly. I
Back
think it's
on the
because he beat him.
Elijah and Enoch, I like asked ChatGPT where it is in the Bible, and because the Elijah thing like was new to me because I haven't read the King's books yet.
Mhm.
But the book of Kings 2:11, it says suddenly a chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared and surrounded the two of them, and Elijah went up to heaven in a whirlwind. So like it does say that he did go up to heaven, but Enoch,
But
it
but
does not say about heaven, just said that God took him.
Into
Mhm.
the heavenly places.
the distinguishment, and so in Hebrews it does actually say that he didn't want him to experience death, so it kind of gives you more explanation for Enoch. But we have 3 different words that heaven is translated to. So in the Old Testament, you have heaven being used to describe 3 things. You have the sky, space, and the place where God dwells. So in the whirlwind, he went up into the sky. It didn't say that he went to heaven as we think of heaven. That's where there's the confusion with that. And this is also why Paul says that he knows of a guy, whether in body or out of body, who was caught up to the third heaven. So it's saying that he was caught up for a vision to God's resting place. Not that he went there, but that it was a vision of this. But still, third heaven is the place where God dwells. Then there is heaven one, just the sky, heaven two, space. So whenever it says he went up to heaven, it doesn't mean it in the way that we talk about it in modern English. It literally means that he went up into the sky, that the whirlwind literally like.
Okay.
We can
Does that make
still
sense?
use the language today because we'll say in the heavens,
Yes.
and we're talking about outer space.
Yes. In the heavens above.
The Messenger of Truth had a video where he was like talking out of context, but he was saying like, "Yeah, I've been to heaven. I even have pictures." And like he shows a picture of like the airplane like from the window.
That's awesome. He's got a
You're
good
not
sense of humor.
wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions in this?
Verse 21. What
Verse
is
21.
what is the whole like? I've heard multiple stories. What's the background of why it's in parentheses?
Because there is argument on whether or not this is in the oldest of manuscripts. This is contained in the Textus Receptus, but it's not in like the Codex Sinaiticus. So the oldest manuscripts that we have do not have this verse in there. So people are assuming that it was never meant to be copied as a Bible verse, that this was a commentary from one of the people who was making copies of the Bible. And so they were putting in a note in there that people then assumed was a verse. But as they were putting in that verse or that comment, this is not referencing casting out the demon. This is referencing the little faith. So the way to fix your little faith is through prayer and fasting, not like to cast out your little faith, to remove your little faith. Not necessarily the demon, but because of this, that is where you got a lot of confusion. But if that were talking about casting out the demon through prayer and fasting, then Jesus casting him out without prayer and fasting would be a contradiction there. Because if Jesus sent him out and there was no prayer and fasting, then it says, but this only happens through prayer and fasting. It's not correlated to the exact same thing. So it's talking about your faith is so little that if you had faith the size of a mustard seed, which was on their calendar, the smallest, or not on their calendar, on their table, that was the smallest seed, very hyperbolic of him to express like how tiny your faith has to be for it to be significant, then you would be able to do it. So same thing with him trying to walk on the water, Peter trying to walk on the water, and he starts falling, and he says that you are of little faith. Same kind of thing. So that little faith goes away from prayer and fasting. That prayer and fasting is a wonderful way to get closer to God and depend more on him and grow your faith. But yeah, not actually casting out a demon. The way to cast out demons is trusting in Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit kicking them out.
So it's just about growing your faith in Christ to be able to cast those demons out.
Yes.
Got it.
So I was always taught with little faith that it wasn't the size of the faith, but the duration.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, like with when Peter walks on water, he's got all the faith, but then it's only short-lived because soon he starts looking at the storm, and that's when he starts to sink.
I think that's more not necessarily duration, but he starts to doubt. He starts to let his faith be shaken. And so his faith isn't big enough to actually hold him. And so he starts to fall because he starts to have fear and doubt rather than trusting Jesus.
It would more so be depth, D-E-P-T-H, depth versus what you were saying.
I like that.
Wait,
Depth
but
instead of duration.
why did Jesus say then that even if you had the faith the size of a mustard seed, that you can actually move mountains?
Yeah, so again, that's hyperbolic. So he's not literally saying move the mountains, but he's expressing that nothing will be impossible for them, giving this gigantic hyperbole.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what I think what Stacy's trying to say is it doesn't matter the size of the faith. It's it's like when you let doubt cloud you, that's when you can't move mountains anymore.
Which I think it's I understand what she's saying. I think it's more of a semantical thing with how it's described as either big, little, shallow, deep, long, short. It's just that if you have faith in God, nothing's impossible. But if you doubt and you don't have your faith fully in God, then you're going to consistently have that kind of a failure.
I've heard it explained along the lines that, well, typically a tree's roots expand 2/3 greater than its drip line, and the uh, depth or the width of a mustard seed or a mustard tree is not wide, but it goes down exponentially. So
Interesting.
that's why I said depth versus duration. You know, uh, because of that faith, your faith is so deep that you do not waver.
Interesting. I do like that though. That's cool. But yeah, I think though it's still I think that they're all ways of saying the exact same thing, that Jesus refers to it as little, but it's still the same concept of it being short-lived or shallow. Um, Same kind of concept. He's saying that you need to have more faith. The way to fix this is pray and fast. And then just want to hit this one more time because it's so good. Oh, from strangers, Jesus said to him, then the sons are exempt.
I do
Taxes.
like the last one too, because the fact that when especially it says, so that we do not offend them, Jesus
Mhm.
still showing love and humility, even though he doesn't need to pay because that's his home, his house. He still
Yes.
shows that love and humility, and I really love this last part.
Yes.
Yeah,
To obey the rules of the land.
right.
So that you don't offend them. But
Yeah.
since we are the sons of the land and we are exempt and do not need to pay taxes in America, maybe maybe we can get tax exemption for Christians. Then we'll see how many atheists want to still hate God, and then we'll see.
Well, I mean, it does say the sons are exempt, so we're sons of God. I mean, sons and daughters of God. So yeah, we should be exempt.
Well,
Yeah.
God also, or Jesus also says, pay to Caesar what is Caesar's and pay to God what is God.
Yes, but what is Caesar's and what is God's?
Well, the money would be
Everything is
Caesar's.
God's. Yeah.
Everything is God's. In Deuteronomy 10, it says that everything belongs to God. And then whenever you have money, that's not your money, it's still God's money. Whenever the people in power have their power, it's not their power, God is allowing them to use it. So nothing actually belongs to Caesar. That's what a lot of people get confused about. That thing is Jesus is referencing back to Deuteronomy 10, which is that everything belongs to God. So he's not supporting taxes there. He's doing the opposite. He's saying, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Nothing. Give to God what is God's. Everything.
Plus,
Which
you
is why
said
tithing is good. Everybody should tithe.
Caesar was a title, not a person.
Say that one more
Make sure you
time.
pay your 10%.
Yeah, you said last week that Caesar was a title.
Yes, but Caesar is a title that was incorporated into people's names. So, you had Nero, who was Neron Kaiser. And so they literally did have the name Kaiser integrated into their actual name for their title.
Mhm.
But the Caesar was the king of Rome, the emperor of Rome, essentially. But they did take the literal name of Caesar upon entering that position of authority.
It's
Does
like
that
if
make
you're
sense?
king and you named yourself Taco King or something like that.
Yes.
Or
I think
president.
that's a restaurant.
Your name was
Everybody that's
Burger
been
instead of
president is
Taco.
still everybody that's been president is still Mr. President.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's President Trump. It's King Henry. So same with that Neron
President Biden.
Kaiser.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No more Prince Andrew though.
Yeah, he got arrested, didn't he?
The first one, and I think he was stripped of his titles.
Oh, good. I hope
Ooh.
that's
Ooh.
I hope that actually goes to full fruition with it, but it probably won't. Okay. Any other questions in 17?
I like to imagine that like someone was fishing and they dropped like some money in the river, you know. And
And then the fish just go.
I just think that like everything happens for a reason, you know, like that guy was probably upset, but look who had helped out, you know, Jesus Christ himself.
Exactly. Like someone dropped money, or the fish somehow ate the money and potentially couldn't swallow it. So that's literally that. Everything happens for a reason. Super
Yeah,
cool.
it's awesome.
Okay, let's see here. Right before we jump into 8, let me boom. I need to run to the restroom real quick. I started carnivore diet yesterday, so the amount of water I've drank in today so far has been uh absurd, well over a gallon.
Yeah.
So give me 2 seconds, and we shall resume.
Girl told me to suffocate broken.
Hey, no more talk about that. So
While we're recording.
okay, so let's see here. Let me pull this back up. Boom, boom. Move this again. Boom. Okay. So Matthew 18. Oh, and yeah, Bradley, I did read that thing. You emailed it to me. I did not
Mhm.
have a chance to do that, but I checked my email again this morning, saw it, and went, "Oh yeah, I need to do that." So I read it this morning, and then I went onto Patreon, saw you posted it there too, and I loved it on there. Did the little heart thing. It was beautiful.
Thank you, sir.
I did laugh immediately though whenever it just randomly was like, "I had to pee." I was just like, "That's Bradley."
Yeah. Well, I mean, I paint a picture before I get to the point,
It was a picture, all right.
Yeah.
Okay,
I,
verse 1.
Go ahead.
At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and said, "Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" And he called a child to himself and set him before them, and said, "Truly I say to you, unless you are converted and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of God. Whoever therefore will humble themselves as this child, he is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever receives one such child in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it is better for him that a heavy millstone be hung around his neck and that he be drowned in the depths of the sea. Woe to the world because of its stumbling blocks. For it is inevitable that stumbling blocks come. And nevertheless, woe to that man through whom the stumbling block comes. And if your hand or foot causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away from you. It is better for you to enter life crippled or lame than to have 2 hands or 2 feet, than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be cast into eternal fire. And if your eye causes you to stumble, tear it out and throw it from you. It is better for you to enter life with one eye than having 2 eyes to be cast into the fiery hell. See that you do not despise one of these little ones, for I say to you that their angels in heaven continually see the face of my Father who is in heaven. For the Son of Man has come to save that which is lost. What do you think? If any man has 100 sheep and one of them has gone astray, he does, or does he not leave the 99 on the mountains and go and search for the one that is straying? And if it turns out that he finds it, truly I say to you, he rejoices over it more than the 99 which have not gone astray. In this way, it is not the will of your Father who is in heaven that one of these little ones perish. Now, if your brother sins, go and show him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have won your brother. But if he does not listen to you, take 1 or 2 more with you, so that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every fact may be confirmed. And if he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen even to the church, let him be to you as the Gentile and the tax collector. Truly I say to you, whatever you bind on earth shall have been bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall have been loosed in heaven. Again I say to you, that if two of you agree on earth about anything that they may ask, it shall be done for them by my Father who is in heaven. For where there are two or three, for where two or three have gathered together in my name, I am there in their midst. Then Peter came up to him and said, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Up to 7 times? Jesus said to him, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. For this reason, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who wished to settle accounts with his slaves. When he had begun to settle them, one who owed him 10,000 talents was brought to him. But since he did not have the means to repay, his Lord commanded him to be sold along with his wife and children, and all that they had, and repayment be made. Therefore the slave fell to the ground and was prostrating himself before him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will repay everything. And feeling compassion, the Lord of the slave released him and forgave the debt. But that slave went out and found one of his fellow slaves who owed him 100 denarii, and seized him and began to choke him, saying, Pay back what you owe. So his fellow slave fell to the ground and was pleading with him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will repay you. But he was unwilling, and went and threw him in prison until he should pay back what was owed. So when his fellow slaves saw what had happened, they were deeply grieved and came and reported it to their lord all that had happened. Then summoning him, his lord said to him, You wicked slave, I forgave you all that debt because you pleaded with me. Should you not also have had mercy on your fellow slave in the same way that I had mercy on you? And his lord, moved with anger, handed him over to the torturers until he should repay all that was owed to him, or that was owed him. My heavenly Father will also do the same to you if each of you does not forgive his brother from your hearts. Boom. This has a lot. I'm expecting a lot of questions. Let's go.
I had a question for 14, verse 14.
Okay.
When Jesus says, In this way, it is not the will of your Father who is in heaven that one of these little ones perish.
Yes.
He's not talking about everyone in the world, right? Because I feel I've heard people like try to take that one as that, that like, oh, it's not God's will for anybody to perish, but in this one, he's specifically talking about like the disciples or the kids.
He's talking about Christians here. So we see that from right up here, where he
Yeah.
says, let's see here. Whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble,
Okay.
it is better for them to have a heavy millstone tied around their neck and thrown into the sea. And then down here, the same concept of these little ones. So it's in reference to those who are saved. And this is why he goes then just explaining it further as a parable of a lost sheep. So it is still Jesus's sheep, which means that these are the ones that have been placed into the hands of the Son and the Father that they will never let go of. And so it is not the will of the Father that any of these would perish. This is same thing that was said in John 6, where he says, This is the will of my Father who sent me, that of all who believe in me, none shall perish, but I shall raise them to life on the last day. So within the context, it's not saying no one in the world will ever perish. It's saying that of those who believe, those little ones, the sheep, they will not perish.
Yeah, because I find that a lot of people use like those verses as a rebuttal to like the idea of Calvinism where God like chooses people like to not go to heaven also. Um and so they're like, oh, but God doesn't want anybody to go to hell. And then they try to use that one, and I'm like, I don't think the little ones there are like everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, so the little ones aren't just people, it's specifically in regards to little ones who believe. So it's
Yeah.
talking about his sheep, talking about children. So yeah, such an important thing though, because right up again here, truly I say to you, unless you are converted and become like one of these children. So it's always the concept is relating believers to his children. So becoming like children, being humble, because if you're a Christian, you're naturally humbled. Because if you're not Christian, then you're thinking like, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm a good person. But if you're a Christian, you're like, I am disgusting and
Yeah,
horrible.
deserve any of
And yeah, so it's that humility of recognizing who you are and understanding that God is so much greater than you and that God is your father. So that is the biggest thing with that. The other one that people bring up, I believe that's also in First Peter or in Timothy, that says that it is not God's will that any should perish, but that all would believe in him. But within that, it's not talking about all people, it's talking about all kinds of people. So the context there would show the distinguishment of Jew and Gentile being all people.
Yeah, like God doesn't want to just save one race, he wants to save everyone. Or
Exactly.
not
All
all,
kinds of
not
people,
every
all
person,
nations.
but every nation, every type of person.
Exactly. Lots
Thank
of
you.
questions. Good question. I like that one.
So is this a command on what we're supposed to do to, I guess, false teachers for verse 6?
Yeah. Um, not a command,
Not a command, but like
but yeah, but
it's
a heavy
better for
warning.
them to be, it's better for that to happen to them than for them to spew their lies.
Yeah, so more so, it's better for them to have that heavy millstone hung around their neck and thrown into the sea. We'll pull up a picture real quick if you guys don't know what a millstone is.
A gigantic, yeah, it's
They're massive and they
yeah,
weigh between 2 and 4 tons.
yeah.
Um, Not milestone, millstone. No, stop auto-correcting it. Millstone. This is a millstone. Gigantic rocks that would be hung on the sides of boats to stabilize them. So, like the Ark having just the means of floating and staying upright. They found these in Turkey, where the Ark in the mountains of
Arab.
Or
Eretz, they found things like these, literal like massive ancient millstones that are embedded in dirt and mud. Um, but this is exactly that. So he's saying that it would be better for them to have this tied to their throat and then be thrown into the sea to drown compared to what God is going to do to them.
Ah, okay.
I think it's the
Yeah.
same context like with Judas, where Jesus says it would have been better if he was never born, like
Yes,
for his sake.
exactly. Because it's not necessarily saying he shouldn't have been born, but that he is going to be punished for betraying God. But yeah, so a lot of people will, and rightly, I think that this definitely can apply, but a lot of people will reference this in regards to pedophilia
Yeah.
of those, because different translations will say those who hurt little ones, that it's better for them to do that. So this one, the more accurate, says cause them to stumble, but in others it'll say harm the children, harm them, that it's better for that. So a lot of people equate this to pedophilia and how much God wants to protect children. And it's not contextually talking about that, but I do think that it's still applicable as God loves children and he does not want them to be hurt.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, like they deserve the death penalty, and I think that this isn't just like metaphorically. I think that I think Jesus is saying that they do deserve it, like they genuinely do deserve it, but he's not he's not saying that we should go and do that to them, like we're not vigilantes or something like that, you know?
Well, yeah. Yeah, this isn't a command of how we are to deal with them, but it is saying that it is better for them compared to the hell that they're going to endure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a the way that the Bible indicates it is that there are going to be certain people who are suffering more than others in hell. So for this kind of case, like whenever it mentions in James 4, talking about how not everyone shall be a teacher or should be a teacher, because the teachers will accrue much stricter and harsher judgment. it's in that same regard of like if you were teaching wrong or teaching hypocritically, something like that, then you're going to be judged severely for what you were teaching. So that in like James 4, that should be terrifying for every Catholic online.
Especially
Uh,
especially the Pope. Think about how
oh
bad,
yeah,
yeah, how bad ones that fully believed in Catholicism,
yes,
how bad they're being going to be tortured.
yeah,
Where is that
horrible.
found that some people will endure more um, suffering?
So not necessarily suffering, but that's kind of the implication. It doesn't say that directly. But if we go into James 4, um, uh,
Joseph shared a live today, and they were talking about this topic about like eternal suffering and eternal life. And the guy that was hosting the live was essentially saying that if you don't go to heaven, then you don't have eternal life. And like,
A messenger of truth. You joined the live.
Yeah,
I
Messenger of Truth believes
Oh
in
yeah.
annihilation.
Yeah, he believes in annihilation.
yeah. Let's see here. Not everyone should be. It might be in not James 4, so I thought it was. Be a teacher.
I think annihilation just gives atheists what they want. They just want to not exist.
Well, that's the thing. I'm going to I was talking to a messenger of truth and asked him if he wanted to do a live where we talk about it because I believe that hell is eternal torture. And
Or
so I wanted to actually talk about it with him on that very subject so that we can have two accurate perspectives on it to show the distinguishment. But the biggest thing that I see a failure in his line of thinking with is that he thinks death means that you stop existing. So
yeah.
that's where annihilation comes from, is thinking that the wages of sin is death. So that means that you die and disappear.
I've watched a
But
lot of his videos, and he might say that he doesn't claim that they stop existing, just that they stop living, because
but
there's like a distinction, like I've heard him respond to that kind of like rebuttal, and I think something like that, like
Jehovah's Witnesses think that they stop existing.
yes,
Yeah.
but still the concept of living is he's thinking that it means that they're living eternally in hell, and that's where he's opposing it. But
right.
living is specifically classified as being on earth. And
Yeah.
so the new heaven is on earth. That's where eternal life is a thing. So eternal death doesn't mean that you stop existing or that your soul dies. It means that you remain dead in hell. So that's one of the biggest things I want to ask him about.
I was really hoping you guys would collab on that because he sounds really persuasive when he talks about it. I'm like, it makes sense. But then
And like
yeah, and your view makes sense too. So I've been kind of like in the middle, honestly.
yeah, and
Like,
that's okay. Because
I
it's a great issue if you do think that annihilation is it, that doesn't mean you're a heretic, that doesn't mean you're not saved. It just means that there's something in the Bible that is not as plain. I think it's pretty plain though, like in Revelation 20:10, where it literally says they will be tortured forever and ever. Um, I think that's pretty
yeah.
plain, but still.
I feel
Um,
I feel like death is just eternal separation from God. So
James 3.
yeah, you're not going to be alive.
Yes.
You're not going to have the actual life that he wants for us as those who are saved, but eternal torment, meaning we don't even know what it feels like to be eternally separated from God. Because even atheists still have God's grace to still be here on earth. So
Yes.
so they don't even know what it's like to be fully separated from God, and that's exactly what the lake of fire is full separation from God.
Yes, but there are things like this specifically. And the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and false prophet are also, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever.
Yeah.
And so, false prophet and the beast are humans.
Mhm.
So it's not because a lot of people that hold to annihilationism, they'll say this and be like, oh no, it's talking about the devil and the demons, they're going to suffer eternally. But the beast and false prophet are humans.
Yeah.
So that negates that part.
Yeah, because they all have souls.
So yeah, it is tricky. But it was not James 4. I misspoke. It was James 3. Stupid. But yeah, do not many of you become teachers, my brothers, knowing that we will receive a stricter judgment. So that can either mean a higher standard, or quite literally, if you're a false teacher, then you are going to experience a higher level of punishment for that.
I was
So
gonna
it's hard to say.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Like, he says my brothers, so he's talking about Christians that teach wrong things too, right? Like, but
Yeah,
not that we will get like punishment in hell or anything like that.
that's a
Um,
very good point.
it's like because I know that we're still judged, but we're not gonna be judged by like our instead of being judged for the bad things we did, we'll be judged for the good things. And isn't there like a part of the Bible that says that like all our works are going to be like gathered and then they're going to be set on fire and whatever is
Yes.
left is like do you think that's what it's like talking about, that like we're going to like since like let's say I started teaching and I said something like wrong, like it's like they're going to be more strict on like removing like I guess for lack of better terms like points, like they're deducting more. You know what I mean? Because I mean, he
Yeah,
said brothers right here.
that is very true. But hmm. Because yeah, that's a very good
Shouldn't
point.
false prophets, like that's like a straight up death sentence in the Old Testament.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
so
so
false
are
should be the
the
same.
let's see here. Let's see here. I'm trying to skim through these, but it's not working well. Uh, for if one comes and preaches another Jesus whom we did not preach, or you receive a different spirit which you did not receive, or a different gospel which you did not accept, you bear this beautifully. For I consider myself in no way inferior to the most eminent or apostles. But even if I am skilled in word, yet I am not so in knowledge. In fact, in every way, we have made this evident to you in all things. Or did I commit a sin in humbling myself so that you might be exalted because you proclaim the gospel, continuing, burden on you. Let's see here. But what I am doing, I will continue to do so that I may cut off opportunity from those who desire an opportunity to be found just as we are in the matter about which they are boasting. For such men are false apostles, deceitful workers, disguising themselves as apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Therefore, it is not surprising if his ministers also disguise themselves as ministers of righteousness, whose end will be according to their deeds. So, same, or I guess close comparison, but you made a very good point in James, where he is addressing brothers specifically.
Mhm.
But even here, he's addressing brothers, warning them about false teachers. But
Yeah.
again, though, right here, I think that you have a really good point of this. Do not many of you become teachers, my brothers, knowing that we will receive a stricter judgment. Um, so yeah, it could be in reference to that because the kind of parable given talking about the works will be burned. Um, it shows the distinction between works that are valid and being described as being like gold, silver, precious gems, which fire won't damage. They'll purify further. However, anything that's like wheat, hay, straw, so the kind of like earthly treasures and like you're boasting, those things will be burned up, that there will be no more.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, very, very good point though, Joseph. I'm gonna have to do some learning.
Yeah, because I mean, like we all have different views on different things. The Calvinist Arminian thing, like they're both like fully Christian and
Yeah.
Yeah.
say, um, but it's like somebody's teaching something wrong, so they might get like not scolded for it, but they're like somebody's gonna get like corrected for it, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so because whenever you do go into this and it's mentioning that specifically, um, where he's talking about for if one comes and preaches another Jesus or a different spirit or a different gospel. So that's kind of showing the essentials of the faith. So
Yeah.
like the Holy Spirit is the proper spirit. The Jesus that is eternally God is the correct Jesus, and the gospel is the salvation through grace alone, through faith alone. So if someone teaches the opposite of that, then they would be uh, a minister of Satan.
Mhm.
Anathema. Anathema is correct on that.
Yeah, so that would be the term that is used in Galatians 1,
One,
where he says, "But even if we or an angel from heaven should proclaim to you a gospel contrary to the gospel we have proclaimed to you, let him be accursed." And that word there is anathema. Interlinear.
yeah, I guess I'm talking about the secondary issues, like the stuff that's not essential, because I mean, there's an objective truth, Um,
They're
so
not
if you're like
salvation.
100% Christian, like you could be teaching something wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So that is very
Well,
fair that that could be what that's talking about.
that's where a Christian comes in and corrects another one.
Yes. Yeah, very interesting.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to do some deeper diving into that. But perfect. Other questions on Matthew 18?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you give me a different scenario? Because I'm kind of having a hard time understanding the part of if your brother sins, verses 15 through 20.
Yes. What just happened? There we go.
Is-
Okay. So in this, it's talking about like church discipline. So within a church, if there's a guy who is sinning, he's not repenting of that sin, he's refusing to hear correction on it, telling him that, hey, that's bad, what you're doing is wrong. Then it's saying that if he doesn't listen, then you should bring 2 or 3 others with you, or 1 or 2 others, because in the Old Testament, this thing that's in what do you call it, caps right here, is referencing the Old Testament. It's quoting where it's talking about in Deuteronomy, it explains that every accusation must be brought forth with the witness of 2 or 3 people. And so it's saying that like you need that burden of proof of other eyewitnesses for it to be truly counted as evidence or proof. And so, in that, he's saying that if you have other witnesses that come to also consult this dude and confront him on what he's doing wrong, and he still refuses to listen, then you tell the other members of the church. So you keep it private between you and him. If he doesn't listen, bring in a couple more people. And if he really doesn't listen, you bring in everybody. And if he still refuses to listen, then you are to let him be to you as a Gentile and or tax collector. So in other words, there is have nothing to do with him. Treat him as an atheist, like he's a false proclaimer. Just have nothing to do with him. Let him go, type thing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And this the supportive verse also relates to like James 5:19 through 20 in that sense.
Let's see here. My brothers, if any among you strays from the truth and one turns him back, let him know that he who turns a sinner from the error of his way will save his soul from death and will cover a multitude of sins. So yeah, so this is kind of
Okay.
the encouragement to be willing to confront somebody on what they're doing wrong. because that's a hard thing to do. It's
Yeah.
hard to tell somebody like, hey, you're living in sin. It's like
Yeah.
you need to stop doing that. But it's an important thing that we need to do.
I
Perfect.
wish I wish I was like done more in church, you know? Like if we like listen to this, that would be so awesome.
Yeah.
Yes,
There
which
was
a lot of churches do really well with this.
yeah, my
Um,
does.
Other churches don't do very well. Because it's not like a very frequent thing that someone needs to be excommunicated, for lack of a better term. Because that's like using a Catholic term that's not actually applicable to a biblical church. But same kind of concept of being kicked out of the church, essentially.
Yeah.
It's not a very common thing, but it is something that more smaller churches, like Reformed churches, tend to be much tighter, where
Hmm.
everybody knows everybody.
Hmm.
And so in there, they hold that church discipline much higher than like non-denominational churches would, for example.
Hmm.
And so if you're doing something wrong and the other people know about it, they will confront you on it. If you refuse to listen to them, they'll have more people confront you on it. If you still refuse to listen, they'll tell the pastor. They'll go to the entire church saying like, "Hey, we need to tell this guy that what he's doing is wrong." If he still doesn't listen, kick him out.
Yep.
What do you
But
think about what do you think about churches that kind of like overdo it? Because I knew somebody who went to a church, but they would like kick people out for like the like without even like having to hear their story or anything. Like I think one lady got kicked out because she got pregnant but she wasn't married. Um
yeah, so that would be an example of them not bringing
The guy.
the correct amount of witnesses and
Yeah.
them not going through the proper channels. So that's bad. Plus, if someone does that and they have that kind of situation happen where they're pregnant and then get kicked out, they should be told like, "Hey, this isn't good," but they
Mhm.
shouldn't be like, "All right, get out, you suck." It's like
Yeah.
that would be very hypocritical because everybody is guilty of sin, including stuff like that.
Everybody makes mistakes, yeah.
I don't know what kind of church it was, but I know like the women were actually wearing veils and stuff. Um I never went
Probably
to that church, but yeah.
seems a little culty.
Yeah.
A
A little
little.
sketchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, little Jehovah's Witness vibes on that one. But I don't think that they wear veils.
No, they don't.
Yeah, so it interesting. But Jehovah's Witnesses, they kick everybody out all the time.
Oh,
So
Regularly.
yeah.
right.
I mean, like, yeah,
Every service.
if you're Jehovah's Witness and you want to leave, like it's normal practice for your parents to disown you because you did that. So like,
Excommunicate.
yeah, is
Yeah,
that.
I heard they bring you before the congregation and they tell everybody, hey, do not talk to them.
Yep,
Yeah.
they do.
They're
Creepy.
also a strong believers of not celebrating birthdays, Christmas. They think it's all pagan. That's one of the things that I've experienced.
Yeah, they're silly with that.
Oh, J-Dubs.
They go too far
Legalistic.
with it, but they actually have a good argument for it biblically.
Yeah.
Not the birthdays. The birthdays they're completely stupid on. Um, but in regards to avoiding holidays that could have like pagan traditions sewn into it,
Yeah.
that's very valid because God tells us not to worship him in the way that the pagans have worshipped their false gods. So they have a valid reason for that argument.
Mhm.
Their reasoning behind birthdays is so incredibly dumb. But they say because Herod decided on his birthday to kill all the firstborns, that's why we don't do birthdays. It's like, but that's bad. That's stupid. Because then they'll say, like, oh no, because birthdays are a pagan thing. At which point, I go to Job 1, where his sons, let's hear, boom, where
They
is this
also
at?
they also
Um,
equate the beheading of John the Baptist
to Herod,
to
or to
to
Herod's birthday, or to the girl's.
the birthday. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, let's hear. Okay, so right here, his sons used to go and hold a feast in the house of each one on his day. Now, in other translations, this will plainly say on their birthdays.
Yeah.
So it's quite literally on the days, on their days, on the day that they were born, they would go have a feast. They would have a birthday party at Job's house. It's like that's not
They don't
evil.
read that as that though, because the Jehovah's Witnesses that I've talked to have never said anything about Herod, but they've always said like it's not something that's ever done in the Bible, so why would we do it now? That's what I've always been told, but I was also
Give him Job 1.
younger, so maybe they didn't go into Herod with me.
Well, neither was a blood transfusion, but it's done these days to save life.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't believe in that either, so.
Yeah.
This is true.
Taco, we can't hear you.
Yes, we got.
Sign language.
His mic died on him.
Come back.
Oh. He's got a second one.
But this one's not as good? Is that what this is? Or is this one just as good? Oh, you just have a backup.
Clip.
Good. Oh, yeah. This is what I thought. The microphone.
Yeah,
Well, then you
you're
had to
back,
plug in.
Natasha. You're back.
Bring back the magazine.
Hi.
Sleep. Girls are asleep now, or your kids? I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
my boys are asleep.
boys. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, we hear you. See you now.
It's
Now you
charging.
gotta hold it. You gotta hold it like those TikTokers.
I'm holding it by the charger. We're almost done, so this is not great timing, but it's better than it canceling out an hour ago. But yeah, I've talked to a couple different Jehovah's Witnesses specifically about that. If I set this down right here, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Kind of faded, but yeah, we can hear you.
If I awkwardly lean forward like this and you guys just see way too much of my face, can you hear me?
You can tell that acting on-
Yeah, we can hear
We
you.
could still hear you fine before. It was just a little faded.
Yeah.
Okay,
See, if you had used an AR-15 mag, it wouldn't have happened.
that's plastic. This is magnetic. You sent me a good magazine, which is good plastic. But yeah, I've talked to several Jehovah's Witnesses asking them specifically that. Like we had a Jehovah's Witness work as a receptionist for us, or for my business partner. And I literally on her birthday, I said happy birthday. And she just kind of went like, oh, thank you. And then I was just like, but you guys don't do those. And then she was like, no. I was just like, why? And she explained it in regards to Herod.
Oh, and two things too. I just remembered they don't cheers, and they don't say
Mhm.
bless you when you sneeze either. That was another
Yeah.
weird one. There was just all these little things. I'm like, it's so weird.
Yeah, I haven't heard
Yeah,
that.
that-
That's weird.
Yeah.
No, they don't hold a glass to cheer somebody
Yeah.
else. They
Oh,
don't.
so you know that one too, Bradley?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. My best friend was a Jehovah's Witness, and he got excommunicated. Actually, was turned in by his wife.
What?
His wife
For what?
threw him under the bus.
For doing what?
Use of tobacco.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Rather than it being like, I assumed it would be like he was reading unapproved literature.
Well, that had some bearing as well, and some activity as well. But no, the biggie was the tobacco use.
That's where one of my favorite Spurgeon quotes is where people were saying that cigars were sin. And he said, nope, and I'm going to keep smoking cigars to the glory of God. It's just like,
There you go.
champion,
I need to have a cigar for him.
right?
Did you get the I know that you had dealt with nicotine, but did you get the cowboy that was talking about long hair, long beard guy that was talking about the health benefits of nicotine?
I have
Did I
not.
send you?
I haven't seen that video, but no, like nicotine by itself, there's nothing wrong with it. Nicotine is
Yeah. Well, I'll
incredibly
try to
healthy.
send it to you.
Yeah,
I'll try to send it.
The addiction to it is bad.
yeah, addiction is bad. But
Yeah.
like if you can
It's
use
very,
it in
very,
moderation, then there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. It's just
yeah,
whenever you start to like crave it, that's
yeah,
a bad sign.
yeah.
But yeah,
It's very, very calming.
yeah, it is very calming. It
Yeah.
is one of the most powerful neurotropics. It is a documented cure for Parkinson's. It alleviates symptoms of autism, especially in children. So like severely autistic children, they've done studies where they take like a nicotine patch, like that people use to quit smoking. They cut off like an eighth of it and put it between the shoulder blades of a kid, and they immediately, or not immediately, but within 20 minutes of it starting to seep in,
Yeah.
they relax, they calm down, they're not overstimulated as much. Like very, very interesting. As well as they found in a study that there was during COVID,
Yes, I
the
heard that.
largest population of people that did not get affected by COVID, or at least took it the easiest, the ones that
Mhm.
it didn't harm as much,
That's
were
right.
all nicotine users. That
Yeah.
there are people that like that was literally the best defense against COVID. And then for like long-term COVID stuff, or like long COVID, whatever they call it, where like you still lose your sense of smell. Some people have said that their memory died during COVID. Nicotine has been proven to be a literal cure for that, where you start doing a little bit of nicotine and it will restore those senses. So yeah,
Yeah.
nicotine is not bad. Smoking cigarettes is heinously horrible because you're inhaling 26,000 chemicals that are all known to cause cancer and
And runs
nicotine.
cars.
But yeah, like if if you smoke a cigar, you're not inhaling it, you
Right.
keep it in your mouth.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
very, very different things, but it's
Yeah.
certain ways of getting it are very toxic for you. Other ways are not toxic at all for you. But it's still the addiction is the sin, not the use of it. It's like drinking this itty bitty little bit of whiskey over the past 2 hours and I've barely dented it. Not
Right.
addictive, just delicious and
Right.
very happy. But
Yeah.
but yeah, the use of
With that
something
being
is not bad. The addiction is.
But with that being said, I have actually, because of the, I don't want to say stress, but just kicking back, I've actually started smoking my pipe again.
Okay.
The good pipe, not the
Yeah.
bad pipe, but the pipe. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're
What's
smoking
a
the
good pipe
pipe,
and a
you're
bad
not.
pipe?
What was that? I heard a voice.
I said, what's a good pipe and a bad pipe?
One of the
He's
pipes helps you
referring.
sleep.
He's referencing.
You put
I
a
think
little
he's
bit of
not
wacky
talking about a
tobacco.
meth pipe or a crack pipe.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
like
Well, those don't help you sleep.
a little.
Those will wake you up for days. But no,
Chantel, I'll draw pictures for you later.
Okay.
My
but
grandpa used to call it wacky tobacco.
wacky tobacco.
Wacky tobacco.
The green stuff.
He would mix his tobacco with marijuana.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they used to call in the 1920s they called weed Mexican tobacco.
Or the devil's lettuce.
Devil's lettuce.
Devil's lettuce is more
I've heard
recent,
that.
yeah. But yeah,
But
so
then
like
again,
if you're doing it on occasion and you're treating it in a way that's not like the people who are like, okay, I need to go do this right now,
Mhm.
then they're addicted. But if you're just like at night, you're like, okay, it's time to have a little itty bitty glass of whiskey and relax and have a little pipe. Nothing wrong with that. But if you wake up in the morning and your first thought is like, I need to go smoke my pipe, that's where there's going to be problems.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you, right? Like with the whiskey's like good for your gut or something like that.
Yeah, it's incredibly healthy for your heart, for your cardiovascular system. It reduces your chances of getting most cancers by 70%. It eats plaque out of your arteries. So it contains allegic acid, which is what does that. So yeah, there's a lot of really big health benefits for a lot of things that people hate, but
Mhm.
it's just using it like an adult rather than using it like a child. So like, don't get drunk, but you can
Yeah.
drink. Don't get high, but you can smoke. Like you just have to do it correctly. That's the biggest thing.
Mhm.
And don't get addicted. That's the biggest thing.
Sorry.
Whiskey
Any
just.
other questions in Matthew 18? We'll go back to that.
You want to go through it all over again? I'm just kidding.
You
wanna
weren't
read it,
here. But yeah, so to summarize for you what it was going over, he was talking about the greatest in the kingdom of heaven are those who are going to humble themselves, talking about those who cause a child to stumble, or little ones, specifically little ones who believe in him. So referencing Christians, leading them astray, that it's better for them to have a millstone tied around their neck and drown, compared to the punishment that they're going to endure. And then it is expressing the part about if your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. If your eye causes you to sin, gouge it out. And then it goes on to, well, this is one little thing that no one asked a question about, but I say to you that their angels in heaven continually see the face of my Father who's in heaven. So these little ones, specifically in regards to believers, have guardian angels. So that's dope. And then he goes over the parable of the lost sheep, that if one goes away, he's going to leave the 99 to go get the one, because he does not desire for any of his sheep, the little ones, to perish. Then it goes over if a brother sins, goes into the church discipline, talking about how you need to confront him. And then if he doesn't listen, you bring two or three, or you bring one or two others. That way you're abiding by the law in Deuteronomy, talking about how you need to have multiple witnesses to provide that evidence of guilt. And if he still doesn't, you tell the whole church. And if he still doesn't listen to the church, then you treat him as an atheist and basically kick him out. That's why we are on the subject of excommunication. Then it goes into forgiveness, and it's giving the parable about the slave who owed the king like $30 billion in today's money. And he forgave him, but then he went out and the dude owed him pocket change, and he was like choking him, demanding that he pay it back. And then the king hears about that, and he says, like, "Oh, you wicked slave, I forgave you all that debt because you pleaded with me. Should you not have also had mercy on your fellow slave in the same way that I had mercy on you?" And his lord, moved with anger, handed him over to the torturers until he should repay all that was owed. And then he said that my heavenly Father will also do the same to you if you do not forgive each other. So, Matthew
Nice.
18, 30-second
I
summary.
mean, I wasn't really actually expecting you to give me a summary.
You're welcome.
I was just being funny.
Does that not also teach 21 through 35? Does that not also teach you forgive more than you've been forgiven? But yeah, I mean, you forgive more than you've been forgiven because you will be judged upon the amount that you forgive somebody.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't. You're forgiven, but then you go and you hold something even smaller against a person.
Yeah, then that would be hypocritical, and
Yes.
it would be in opposition to following the example of Jesus.
Mhm.
A good sermon. This was a guest preacher at my church, and I can't remember what his name was, but his line explaining this was, "Forgiven people forgive people." It was like, that's good. That's perfect. But it is that if you're forgiven, you need to be also forgiving. You need to show grace. You need to show mercy on people the same way that God has shown mercy on you. Except what God has forgiven in us is insurmountably more than anyone could ever do to us.
Right.
So it's always less compared to what we've been forgiven for.
Yeah, because
Like even in Psalm 51, this is right after he got Uriah murdered. David says, "Against you and you alone have I sinned."
yeah, I was about
So
to say that every time we sin, it's against God, even though we're hurting other people,
exactly.
still against God because we're hurting His creation, His image.
Yes. So
Yeah.
if someone sins against us, they're sinning against God more than us, and so we need to be willing to forgive them.
Yeah.
And that's why this big thing right here, where he says up to 7 times, the concept of forgiving someone 7 times is going back to the Old Testament. I can't remember the exact spot off the top of my head. I've done videos on this like last January, going through Matthew 18, talking about forgiveness, and I do reference it in there. I just can't remember what the reference is. But 7 is a massive thing in the Old Testament for forgiving people. And so Jesus then expresses that it's not 7 times, but it's 70 times 7 times. So that's not saying like, okay, count it out to 490, and then once it hits there, you're out. Instead, it's just saying like, just consistently forgive them. It's not like once they do it to this point, then it's too much. You just consistently forgive and forgive and forgive and forgive.
Repeatedly from the heart.
Something that I may add, um, and correct me, I guess, if I'm wrong, but just because you forgive somebody doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be friends with them anymore
Correct.
either.
Right.
You can still be cordial and like if they talk to you, you talk to them, but you don't have to be buddy buddy with them.
Yeah, forgiveness does not mean reconciliation.
Yeah.
You have to forgive everybody. You don't have to reconcile with them.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, like you said, you don't have to be buddy buddy with them. You can have them be completely gone from your life, but you should not hold any animosity towards that person.
Yeah. Reconciliation is repentance on both ends.
Yes.
What about a Christian? You should reconcile with Christians, should you not?
You should if you can, but that's where like the whole church discipline thing in here kind of talks about that. Whereas like you should go to him if he sins. If your brother sins, go and show him his faults between you and him alone privately. If he listens, you have won a brother. If he doesn't listen, then you take more witnesses. If he still doesn't listen, then you tell the church. And if he refuses to listen to even the church, let him be as a Gentile and tax collector.
Yeah.
So you try to do that, but at this point, if they are refusing this, they're in love with their sin so much more than they love God that they're probably not Christians, that they're probably false professors. They're pseudodelphus, not true brothers.
What if it falls into the line of like personality type not really meshing well?
Give me an example.
Tie a millstone.
Grab that millstone.
I had a friend that I was pretty close with, and she ended up getting really mad at me because I did not tell her that I gave birth up to 3 until I was like out of the hospital, and then she was like on me that I was just not being forthcoming about my life, and I'm like,
That's your child.
I mean, I'm just 3 days out of the hospital.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
would say
really.
that person's absolutely absurd and
I'm
ridiculous.
Yeah.
like boundaries, and
Yeah.
since then I've just been like, I don't know if I want to be as much of a friend because like I'm not gonna not talk to her kind of a thing, but not as much in my life because I'm just like I don't want to have that obligation that it feels like I need to share every detail.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to quote one of Taco's favorites, life is tough, get a helmet.
So I'm
Is
like,
that
I don't know.
Candace Owens.
That was Candace Owens.
oh no, gosh, no, she stole that. Brad Stein. Brad
Oh.
Stein. Let me pull this up. You guys should go listen to this guy later tonight or tomorrow. He's a
I love that guy.
Christian comedian. At the church that I went to as a kid, he ended up doing a show there. I got tickets to that years ago. He'll do like magic tricks while he's making jokes, but he's 100% clean and always gives the gospel. But he has a special called Put a Helmet On. And the whole thing is just talking about if you're that weak and fragile all the time about everything, then you should be wearing a helmet. So one of the parts in there is he says that we've become like so sissified as a nation that you need a sign telling you that the coffee is hot.
Yep.
And he says that if you need that, then you need to be wearing a helmet all the time. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I recommend that. I have a signed copy of that DVD from him. It's very cool.
Nice.
I know, I
That's-
nerded out.
That's
So-
the guy that talks about how the Bible and creation through God could be true, and then he gives all the facts and details, right? Isn't
Yep,
that-
and that's during his during that special. That
Oh, is it?
wasn't that wasn't during a sermon. That was during this comedy special.
yeah,
Yeah,
very, very deep.
yeah, very, very Christian, very wonderful. He had a joke that was so good talking about bumper stickers, and he said that the bumper sticker that says that God is my co-pilot. So he goes, I saw that and I sped up to see who was driving. Just like, you better be a good driver if you have God in your passenger seat. That was pretty good.
So Jesus take the wheel.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm ashamed that I know that quote.
Everybody knows that quote. Don't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
okay. Perfect. Then we shall call it a night for now because it's late. But
And we're missing State of the Union.
9
oh, was that
o'clock.
on tonight?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
I can summarize that for you right now. The government is ran by pedophiles. We have a very big problem. Good night.
What are we gonna do about it?
It's a little bit
Big
more.
problem.
The only thing that surprises me is that everybody's so surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I mean, you don't expect every single one of them to be a pedophile, so that is shocking that literally almost all of them are that bad, but
but if you don't oppose it, you are.
yeah.
If you don't oppose it, you are a pedophile.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of those people
Can
need.
I quote that?
Absolutely. You don't
What'd you say,
oppose
Josh?
pedophilia?
I was gonna say a lot of those people need millstones.
Yes.
Mhm. No
So-
wonder the sea is rising.
So maybe how we like fix the problem is to just like stop voting. Like if everybody just stopped voting.
It
I
would
I think
be
it's
feel
a
like that
Christ-
would make it
It's a
worse.
Christian duty to
Problem is
vote.
that the bad
Yeah.
people would be the only ones to vote.
the
I believe
only
it's a Christian
effective
duty to vote.
there's only two ways to do that, like actually effectively. It wouldn't be refusing to vote, it would be refusing to pay taxes nationwide.
That's
Everybody
it.
has to participate.
Yeah.
Or Revolutionary War Round 2.
Yep.
Those are the only two options, and neither of them are good.
Mm-mm.
Obviously, I would prefer just no one pay taxes, and then I'd be happy.
How do we not pay taxes when we pay taxes every time we buy something?
Well, yeah, you can't
We're
avoid
tax-
sales tax, but in regards to like your check that you get from work, you can actually tell them, stop taking taxes out of my stuff.
Yeah, you
I'll
can
pay it at the end of the year, and they
Yeah,
will
yeah.
stop taking the taxes, and then you can just not pay them.
And
Not saying you should,
technically,
IRS.
technically, you could avoid
Not-
sales
not
tax
advice.
by only buying things through other people.
Marketplace.
That's called bartering.
Marketplace, people who like sew and knit themselves clothes,
You get chicken.
people who produce their own food, like gardening or with animals. Like you can do all, like you don't honestly need a store as long as you have a community. And that's why we're meant to have community. Shocker.
You barter.
Yeah, we're kind of broken in that, but that would be an ideal way to do it. That's where the Amish have a step up and they don't pay taxes.
That's why I'm trying to get.
Hey, Taco, should we go move in with the Amish and be like,
And
hey,
convert them, yeah.
exactly, see? Be like, we need to stay here,
How
but
do
you need
how
to
do they
change a
avoid-
little bit.
I'd
How
go
do
to
Your works
Sephora
are
and
like
be
electricity.
Hey, have y'all seen one of
bad."
these before?
We need shelter from the storm.
Facts.
How do they avoid property tax?
What?
Because they live on kind of like they're not Indian reservations, but that is the
Okay.
closest comparison I can give. Their little communities are like marked away from that because of their religious exemption to
I was
taxes.
going to say they have a religious exemption.
Mhm.
What kind of religion? do you
So
have?
do
Portion.
we.
Can we start our own thing?
the first biblical Christian church.
I've been saying.
That'd be cool.
Let's be for real. Most people will be like, that's a cult.
Yeah,
Call it
yeah,
Taco
but then we
City.
just explain like, oh no,
Taco
it's
City.
Taco City.
but then
Oh,
we
then
could just
everybody would
explain
want to
that.
come and want tacos.
That would be great. We would only serve tacos everywhere. It's the only
Yeah.
food allowed. I'd
No, we
become a
need
dictator
barbecue
with this
also.
food.
I don't think Taco could live without a steak.
I would have steak tacos.
Steak
There you
tacos.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
See?
Barbecue
Steak
tacos,
quesadillas?
steak tacos. You could turn a taco into anything.
Turn a what?
You can turn anything into a taco.
That's fair. You can have
Yeah,
cereal
have a
tacos. It's gross.
taco
but you can do it.
Ew.
Yeah, that's the first
Nah,
thing that
I'll
crossed
pass.
my mind was cereal tacos.
You can
Holy
you can
shit.
wrap it in a waffle. Waffle, and then you have Lucky Charms in the middle.
Okay, that
Ooh,
sounds
yeah.
good.
Breakfast tacos.
Yeah. That's got Jesus written all
Or in
over
a
it.
French toast.
But I mean, it wouldn't really be a
Arteries
cult.
are
We'd just be like,
cardinal.
yeah, we believe everything that the Bible says, especially the part that says no taxes. Therefore, we're exempt. You want to be part of our community?
Mhm.
Get the
We
You
entire
don't have
state
to
of
do
like
anything
Texas.
sketchy.
We should
Yeah,
buy a
no.
plot of land.
Yeah, you do have to do something. You have to die to yourself. How about that?
I mean,
That's not sketchy, that's reasonable.
see. But okay. But awesome. Then I will see you guys next week. Bueno?
Bueno, bueno.
Bueno. Toodles.
Right.
Later, guys.
Love you guys.
God bless you guys.
Bless.
Bless.